Hi, my name is Raquel Ward, and I welcome you to today's session, The Future of Learning is Now, Tools, Tips, and Technologies for Creating Impactful Learning with Dr. Carl Kopp. Coaching, serving, and helping others often means connecting over distances via learning technologies, which in our age is simultaneously more confusing and more accessible than ever. In today's session, Carl will provide tips, techniques, and practical tools that you can use to deliver online learning experiences that are impactful, meaningful, and potentially life-changing. Dr. Carl Kopp is a professor of instructional technology at Bloomsburg University in Bloomsburg, Pennsylvania, where he teaches instructional game design, gamification classes, and online learning design. He is recognized internationally as an expert in the application of games, game thinking, and gamification to learning. Carl has authored or co-authored 8 books, including his latest, Microlearning, Short and Sweet. He is also the author of 10 LinkedIn learning courses and has been a TEDx speaker. As an entrepreneur, Carl co-founded Enterprise GameStack, a company that helps large organizations create digital card games for learning. More details on Carl's achievements can be found on the Converge website. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Carl Kopp.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for coming and looking forward to your questions. And thanks, Raquel, for that great introduction. So enjoy the presentation and feel free to ask questions at any time.
A question. In August 2020, approximately 9 months into the pandemic, how many colleges in the United States do you think had plans to offer their instruction completely online? Was it 10%, 40%, or 70%? The answer may surprise you. Let's not wait any longer. The answer is that only 10% of all colleges in the United States in August of 2020 had any plans whatsoever to offer their instruction completely online for the upcoming school year. This, despite the warnings, the shift to online back in the spring of that year, and the growing concern about the COVID-19 pandemic, which was declared in March of that year. Colleges, with all the signs and signals indicating online learning was the future, were unprepared for that future. As the saying goes, those who are unprepared for the future will be left in the dustbin of history. Online learning in education is now no longer the future, it's the present. Not just for students in colleges, universities, or K-12 institutions, it's for adults who want to expand their skills, live better lives, become effective leaders, or improve their coaching acumen. In short, online learning is going to be the future of coaching. I've been involved in the online learning industry since way back in 1990. Wow. When I started my graduate work in the field of instructional technology. This was around the time of the birth of the internet. We were using a search engine called Gopher and a web browser named Mosaic. At the time, few people realized just how big online education would become. And since that time, there's been a great deal of changes in the tools, approaches, and acceptability of online instruction. Yet still, online learning, e-learning, is in its nascent form. What this means for the coaching industry is opportunity. An opportunity to expand your reach, make an impact on more people, and provide evergreen content, ideas, and 24/7 guidance. But it can seem dizzying. There's lots of questions. What technology do you use? How do you get started? What makes good online instruction versus bad online instruction? How do you even distribute the online modules once they're developed? Paradoxically, connecting with people via online learning has never been easier or more confusing, but you can do it. Let's explore the steps, procedures, and technology required to successfully create and distribute online learning modules. In this presentation, I'm going to discuss a 5-step process that's been used successfully to create and distribute engaging, focused online educational sessions. If you want to join the future of online education, this process will provide you with the information, steps, and knowledge necessary to begin delivering impactful online instruction, allowing you to expand your reach and help many people through your digital presence. Here's an overview of what the process is and what we'll be discussing. Scripting your lesson, setting up your studio, enhancing your content, putting it all together, delivering the instruction. Now, the good news is that research indicates a high-quality, highly produced video is not required for engaging learners. A research review of 6.9 million hours of instructional videos from places like MIT, Harvard, and USC in a nonprofit organization called edX found that instructional videos with a more personal feel can be more engaging than highly produced, high-fidelity videos. They also found that showing a human face like this, as opposed to only slides, provided a more intimate and personal feel and broke up the monotony of slides and instructional bullet points. In other words, research indicates that online learning should be done in a conversational, friendly tone rather than a formal, didactic tone. From my own personal experience from recording courses for LinkedIn Learning, the producers and directors ask for an informal, friendly tone and allow small mistakes to be included in the final product because those small mistakes add a bit of human connection. If the video is too polished or too slick and no one makes a mistake and no mistakes are evident, it loses its instructional, intimate appeal. This means you don't have to be perfect when creating your online instructional messages, and that should lift a burden from your shoulders. Don't strive for perfection, strive for connection. One more thing before we move on. It should help you to know that research suggests that you record your lessons in an informal setting and that you don't need to invest in big budget studio production equipment. In fact, your smartphone is an excellent recording tool and will be perfectly acceptable as a recording device for the online lessons that you want to create. No need to run out and buy a DSLR camera to start. Get started with your smartphone. That'll be just fine. Now, let's start with the 5-step process. The first step is scripting your lesson. Do you know what makes the best instructional script for an online learning video? Think about it. Write it down. Ponder your answer. Go ahead. I'll wait. The answer? The best instructional scripts solve a problem. To develop an instructional script, think of a problem your clients are wrestling with. Think of a tip or a technique you know that solves that problem or helps them solve the problem. Then provide a path or a guidance to solving that particular problem. Keep the problem solving short and concise. People don't have a lot of time, so you don't need to go into a huge dissertation. Rather, you need to be focused and to the point when you present the problem and your method to address the problem. The design of your video should not be more than 5 minutes long. Research has shown that from a learning perspective, video length is a significant factor in learner engagement. Strive for a video no longer than 5 minutes. If you need to create a longer video like this keynote, break it up into sections. You'll notice that when a new section is started, we break it up by a visual divide, telling you which of the 5 steps we're addressing. So your script needs to solve a problem, and it needs to be no longer than 5 minutes. But how do you actually write the script? Well, think of YouTube. Many YouTube videos start with a person asking a provocative question or providing a startling fact or an intriguing story or some other hook to get you involved. Then, once you say to yourself, I need to learn more about this, the video goes into a standard introduction for, a few seconds, and then the instruction starts, just like this video instruction. That's exactly what you want to do as you write your script for what you want to say in your lesson. Start with the learning objective, but don't state it as an objective. Instead, state it as a question. Rather than say, today we will learn 3 steps toward healthy living, or let's learn about mindfulness, instead, turn it into a question, such as, ever wonder what 3 steps you could take every day that would lead to healthy living? Or how can mindfulness change your life? Notice we converted a statement, which is a closed loop, into a question which is an open loop. And as humans, we don't like open loops. In fact, we hate them. Let me give you an example that kind of brings this home. Has this ever happened to you? It's 11 o'clock at night, you're watching TV and Law and Order or some other cop show comes on, and now you can't go to sleep until you find out if that scumbag goes to jail. That's an open loop. You need to know what happens, even though it doesn't really impact your life in any way, and you probably already saw it before, you just can't remember the outcome. That's the power of an open loop. So start your script with an open loop. Then the next step is to reinforce why the answer to the question that you just asked is so critical to answer. You might say something like, every year over 400,000 Americans die from a cardiac arrest. These 3 tips may help you to avoid becoming one of those statistics. Then provide the instruction. The first tip is, then after each tip, provide an example. Concrete, relatable examples help learners to remember and act upon the content that you're providing. When you're done with the instruction and the examples, provide a recap or a list of action items. It's the old presentation advice, right? Tell them what you're going to tell them, and then tell them what you just told them. Repetition is not a bad thing, even in a short instructional video. Once you have your content and your phone's camera, you're ready to begin. As you can imagine, if you want to deliver a dynamic online learning session, one of the things you have to do is nail the lighting, audio, and camera. You've got to get those elements right. So here are some tips for helping to ensure your audio and video is effective in transmitting your message. First, focus on good quality audio. Even though you're going to be appearing on the camera and learners will see your face and whatever's in the background, audio is the most important. In my experience, learners will tolerate poor or grainy video for much longer than they'll tolerate poor, scratchy audio or audio that sounds like you're underwater or in the middle of a crowd. The good news is, again, your smartphone does a pretty good job with audio. The quality is often good enough for an effective instructional message. But you do need to be aware of some potential audio pitfalls and avoid these pitfalls whenever possible. First, record in an area that does not have a lot of noise. A basement can seem like the perfect place because it's usually pretty quiet. But be aware, if you've got utilities running in the background, like the air conditioner or a forced air furnace, those constant white noise types of sounds are horrible to listen to, and you might not hear them as you're recording. So be careful that those items cannot be picked up on the smartphone's mic. Also, sometimes people walking above you will be picked up on the mic, and even the high-pitched hum of a light bulb that's about to burn out can mess up an otherwise good-sounding lesson. If you want to move upstairs, watch out for the dishwasher running in the background, kids yelling, dogs, or fire trucks going by your house responding to a call. All can be distracting for a lesson. It's usually quietest in my house in the morning, and that's a good time to record. Find a quiet place with no background noise and grab your smartphone, and you'll be ready to create online instruction. And now that you've found a quiet place, the next thing you want to think about is good lighting. Too many times I've seen instructors who appear to be a dark silhouette of themselves. This is because they have the light source behind them. This is not a good thing to do. You want the light source in front of you. You want it in front of you because it gives you the best possible look. If it's on the side, it can cast shadows and you'll look dark in some places and too light or too hot in others. So get a light for in front of your screen. The best place is to sit in front of a window on an overcast day. The light that comes through is usually pretty good. But unfortunately, Mother Nature doesn't always cooperate with the best lighting when you want to record, right? She doesn't always pop up a cloudy day. So the next best thing is to record in a place with an artificial light and create your own lighting effects, which fortunately is now easier than ever. There are now lights called ring lights that are circular, that are small and can be placed around your smartphone or camera. They're typically adjustable so you can brighten and dim as necessary, and it can provide you with that even light from the front. But a word of caution, a ring light does show a white circle in your pupil, which will be seen on screen, and they do take some getting used to because it's kind of bright there. So take some time before your session to experiment with the right lighting for your ring light. But the time you experiment is worth it. It will really help you to look your best. When I first started out, I just used lamps that we had around the house and kind of experimented with the shades on and off and put the shade on, put the shade off, till I finally got the right lighting. So you don't have to buy a ring light or any lights. We've already talked about using your smartphone's camera and video capability, and if you get the lighting right and have decent sound, you'll create a video that is of good enough quality to share as an educational offering. But there's one more thing to think about with the smartphone camera. You don't want to be too close to your smartphone. If you're too close to the smartphone, it will distort your face. It's best to be about 2 feet away, which is about your arm's length distance. And watch the space above your head. You want a little bit of space, but not too much. Also, you want to be as centered as possible in the frame. And all those things, the lights, camera, and the audio, are really the basics of setting up a quick, cheap studio, which can be really helpful. What does it mean to enhance your content? Well, if you've been paying attention to this presentation, you've noticed that I've added some whiteboard writing, some cartoon interludes, extra video footage, and simple animations to punctuate what I'm saying, from time to time. And these are the same things that you can do to enhance your instruction. Again, from a research perspective, using sketching turned out to be quite effective for learning. Researchers actually noted that instructors who sketch, like Khan-style tutorials could situate themselves on the same level as the students rather than talking at the student in a lecture mode. And that having animations as you explain a concept encourages instructors to use the the bar napkin style of explanation rather than the less personal, more disjointed model that PowerPoint, unintentionally, but still, that PowerPoint encourages. So let's talk about enhancing your content with images, animations, and other film tricks. Let's talk about adding B-roll to your lessons. For our purposes, we'll refer to B-roll as any video, image, or animation that's not an instructor directly speaking to the camera. This cartoon image of me walking onto the screen, stopping, and waving to you is considered B-roll. An image of an office or a crowd can be considered B-roll. Inserting a slide into your presentation to make something clearer, we're going to consider that B-roll as well. It's basically anything that provides a break from the constant talking head of you, the instructor. No matter how good or how engaging you are, breaking up the content with B-roll is a good way to keep your learners focused on what you're saying. My go-to B-roll is a software product called Vyond. This product allows me to create animated figures in short video clips and add them to my lessons. A few years ago, it would literally cost thousands of dollars a minute to create animated content, and now you can very easily do it on your own. This advancement in technology means there are many tools that have this capability. For example, you can use a tool called Powtoons, or a tool called Biteable, or Animaker, or VideoScribe, and many others. They're all pretty much the same and each have pros and cons and each have their own unique characters, and so do a little searching to see what you like best. You don't need to use Vyond, it's just the one I happen to use. I've listed these websites and links to all the software programs on the handout. Now, they vary in price, so you may want to use that as one of your criteria. Since I use Vyond, let's take a look at what it can do. When you go to create a video, you have 3 styles to choose from: contemporary, business-friendly, and whiteboard. You can pick a style or styles that suit you and the message you're trying to convey. You can mix and match. As you've probably noticed, that's what I do. Two of my favorites are business-friendly and whiteboard animation. I like the writing and the hand moving, of things in and out, and I like the characters to help with story. Here's the business-friendly version. It provides templates and characters for you to incorporate into your videos. So let's make a little video. You can see that you can edit the opening templates. Here, let's change the title and subtitle. Now let's add a scene or two using the template function. Often the templates already have built-in animations. Let's preview this to see what it looks like. Now you can even change out characters. Using Vyond, I created a version of myself that can be inserted into scenes just like this. You can also change expressions or actions. Here's some examples. You can also add props or items to a scene if you need those other elements in what you're talking about. Here's how you can add some hand motions and writing as well. You pick the timing and type in the words. Here's what a finished video might look like after I've changed out some of the characters, added some speech bubbles, and mixed in some hand motions and writing. Again, there are several tools on the market that allow you to create short, animated videos to use as your B-roll in your online courses. I use the animated features of Vyond in 4 distinct ways. First is that I use it to illustrate a concept or an idea. I can sometimes illustrate a concept, technique, or idea much more easily with animated video than trying to explain it. Second, I add animated videos to help illustrate a story I'm telling. It helps me to help the learners visualize the elements of the story. Third, I use it as a chalkboard or a whiteboard to write down keynotes, concepts, and ideas that I want the learners, like yourself, to take away. Fourth, and this is important, I'll often add an animation if I make a mistake in my recording. Maybe I have a great recording, but a person walks right in front of me, or there's some noise that I have to edit out, and it's a weird jump. I just add some B-roll that's relevant over that section, and no one is ever the wiser, except, of course, now you are. Now, another cool thing you can do is add real video as B-roll. There are a number of sites that have stock video, like iStock.com and others, Wondershare Filmora, where you can purchase pre-made video images like a cityscape or people working. You can then easily insert those videos or images into the lessons that you create. You just pop them right in. We'll talk about how you can put all this together, the video and the enhanced items and other great stuff in the next section of this presentation called Putting It All Together. Here we are. We've shot all the video and we're looking professional. We're looking good. We've created the enhanced items in the B-roll and we're ready for what's known as post-production. We're going to put everything together and make the final instructional video. Here we need to use something known as video editing software. Video editing software is a software program that allows editing, modifying, generating, or manipulating a video file. With video editing software, you can remove sections of the video that didn't work out well. You can cut and rearrange a video to give it a better flow, or add effects, or integrate other clips, the B-roll, to make it more interesting and engaging. Again, like with everything I've discussed so far, there are many different video editing software programs, and I can only tell you about the tool that I use, but there are many, many more. I use a tool called Wondershare's Filmora, which you can try for free. And then if you like it, you can purchase it for about $70, which in my opinion is money very well spent. But alternatives to Filmora include PowerDirect, Adobe Premiere, and Pinnacle Studio, just to name a few. Most of them offer free trials or downloads, so you can experiment with a few of them to see which one you like best. Often it comes down to your comfort level with the software. With Filmora, the opening screen might look a little intimidating, but it's really pretty simple. On the left side of the screen is where you can drop in video that you created on your smartphone. After you've imported all the assets you want to use in your video, then take the video and slide it down to the timeline. Other assets are added in a very similar manner, so you can fill up your kind of studio and draw them down. Once you do that, you can start making edits such as adjusting the volume within the timeline. You can then add other videos like your B-roll and determine where to place them, or you can just add full images or just a single image like a book that you might want to mention. The software even has built-in transitions, so you can transition between one video clip or picture to another. Let's try out a couple of the transitions to see how easy it is to transition. Here we use the red slider to move to different locations on the video timeline. Filmora comes with a bunch of built-in transitions. Filmora also allows you to buy what it calls packs for enhanced transitions, titles, and on-screen movements. Here are some transitions and titles and movements from the comic book mini pack. Pretty cool. They also have a video game pack that you can use as well. And they even have some more serious ones like news broadcast elements. As you can see, you can be as subtle or as wild as you need to be in your video with these tools. The tool also allows you to add sound, like let's put a musical intro into our video. You can even fade in the sound or fade out the sound. When you're done, you'll export the video as an MP4 file, and you'll be good to go with your next step, which is distribution. In conclusion, the idea is that Filmora or other video editing software provides you with a simple tool for adding cinematic elements to your lessons. They level up your instructional videos from something you created on a smartphone to high-quality offerings that reflect the future of online learning and position you as a learning professional. Now it's time to deliver the instruction to the folks that you coach. There are several different ways you can consider delivering the instruction depending on your goals and how technical that you'd like to get. One of the easiest and most private is to save the video in Google Drive and then share the link with the people whom you want to view it. Or Dropbox or any kind of those file sharing tools. To do this with Google, you need to set up a Google Drive account, then upload the video, then go to the Google Drive and share the video with those you'd like to share. It's pretty simple and straightforward. You could even use the online chat tool Slack to create your community of people that you're coaching and then have members in that community and post your instructional video then to that platform and they can look at it when you post it. Yet another method is to upload the video to YouTube, and if you want, you can make it public so everyone can watch it, or you can create a private video and just share the link with your learners. You'll have to mark the video that you're placing on YouTube as private, and your invitees must sign into their Google account to view, the private video. And there are other video sharing sites such as Vimeo you could use as well, but all of them allow you to share the video. Now, keep in mind that these tools and methods we discussed so far are really just video sharing, and they're not platforms for registering learners or charging for your courses or providing certificates. If you want to have more of an online school look and feel to your course offerings, then you need software that allows you to establish your own online school. There's there's tons of these schools available. There's tools like Thinkific, Blinkit, Kajabi, Teachable, Mighty Networks. The list goes on and on. I use a tool called LearnWorlds for my online school. Again, many of these tools offer free trials, and I urge you to check out a few before you make your final decision. Almost all of them allow you to try it for free. So what do these tools, offer you? Well, it turns out a lot. The LearnWorlds platform that I use, for example, has the following capabilities in no particular order. One is it lets me create my own website for my online academy with no knowledge of website development even needed. I can choose a layout, type in my own content over top of the existing template, and create my own descriptions of my products and services. Second, the platform gives me the ability to take payment for my courses by integrating with payment programs like PayPal, Stripe, Shopify, and others. This means that anyone who wants to take my courses can pay for those courses with a credit card. Extremely convenient. However, it ain't free. Some services charge as much as 3%, so keep that in mind as you're setting up and picking your payment type and setting up your pricing. Third, LearnWorlds allows me to add multiple choice questions into the course, which is fine. But if you want more interactivity, other platforms allow me to do even more interactive elements like drag and drop activities, matching activities, clickable maps. Fourth, LearnWorlds and other platforms are integrated with Zoom and WebEx. So if you want to do a live session for your clients right from the platform, you can launch it. They can be in the platform, launch it. You can give them an appointment time. It's kind of nice. Fifth, these platforms allow me to set it up so learners can print a certificate when they're done with the course. They have tangible evidence. Sixth, the platforms give learners access to other features like blogs, which can really help me keep my learners and my community up to date. And finally, I can set up online communities. I can have members of my online school interact and talk to each other, which is a great way to build a community. So in short, platforms like LearnWorlds and others provide you with the tools to make an entire online school, from creating courses all the way to generating revenue from those courses. Now, the platforms aren't free, so you might want to experiment with some of the low-cost options we talked about first, but these platforms do provide you with the tools to create a solid professional offering for your clients. So to conclude this section, think about how you're going to distribute your content that you've created. You can distribute it very simply and easily through free online tools, or you can decide to create an online school. Online schools take a little bit of effort, they take a little bit of time, they are a little bit more expensive, but in the end, they can provide you with a lot of advantages. So think of what you want to do with your online courses and think about the best way that you can distribute them so you can help your coaching clients. We've covered a lot. The good news is that if you miss something, you can go back and watch it again. That's one of the advantages, one of the core advantages of online video-based instruction. And as the world grows more hectic and complex, the need for quality educational sessions will keep increasing. Fortunately, the technology will also become more and more accessible. You can achieve success by following the 5 steps outlined in this presentation. Remember, the steps are scripting your lesson, setting up your studio, enhancing your content, and putting it all together, and then delivering the instruction. Now that you have the tools, guidance, and know-how to become part of the future of online learning, the next step is up to you. You might want to start simply and post a few videos on YouTube and offer them for free to help showcase your services. Then think about how you can integrate online learning into your paid services that clients can use and benefit from. And then finally, you might want to think about launching your own online school. All of that is possible with the tools and techniques we've laid out in this session. It's not about perfection, it's about connection. I wish you the best of luck as you participate in the future of online education. And as you forge your own future, remember always to play, learn, and have fun.
Wonderful. What fantastic tips and tools for virtual learning, which couldn't have come at a better time given today's current environment. I would encourage all of our attendees to post your questions in the Pathable chat so that we can then give them to Carl. To kick us off, Carl, I'm curious, could you speak a little bit to some of your best practices for synchronous learning as well?
Sure. Yeah. So some of the same elements in terms of lighting definitely hold. So you want the light in front of you. That's very important. You want to look at the camera when you speak in synchronous, but you don't want to stare at the camera because people are looking back at you. If you're staring at them, they get a little bit uncomfortable. So that's the way to do it. The other thing is, don't be afraid to talk with your hands and to have some movement about. So you might want to check your chair so that it's not too squeaky. But that works so well. And then sometimes it's a great thing to turn off the PowerPoint and just talk to your audience members and the people that you're coaching. That way, it feels more personal and it feels more engaging. And so it's a good idea to kind of mix up sometimes some slides or even some videos and then some live presentation. And you want to, I always say that you want to be kind of a caffeined version of yourself, right? So, because think about it, actors, for example, if you actually see an actor acting, they're a little larger than life than what they come across as the movie. The medium does something to the delivery. So you really want to kind of be definitely excited and definitely energetic as you present. And all that will make for a really engaging presentation. And then, of course, there's all kinds of tips and techniques around engaging learners through polling and through chat and through think, pair, share and breakout rooms and all that kind of stuff.
Excellent. Great. Thank you. I see a question came in from Damian Goldvarg. What strategies do you use for audience engagement?
So one of the things that I like to do is I like to think of it as the learner's journey, right? So you want to have an arc, what we call a curve of interest. So I like to start out with questions, thought-provoking questions to get the learners thinking about it and what could be the answer. And then, so that's one thing I like to do, engagement. The other thing I like to do is ask learners to input information into, if I'm doing chat, to do some chat, have them write things down. So oftentimes when I create a course for my clients, I have an accompanying workbook, and I refer to the workbook, and I'll say, I want you to write in your workbook. Go ahead, I'll wait. And you stop a little bit, and it encourages people to write in the workbook. And actually, research shows that writing things down is much better than kind of typing verbatim notes. So that's another good technique that I use. I use a tool called Poll Everywhere a lot, which is an audience response tool. So if I'm doing a 1-hour live session, I will create an interactive story with Poll Everywhere and get people kind of interested in answering those questions and responding to the poll. So those are some ways that I try to build that interactivity in a live session.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. Let's see. I've seen this question a few times, and I think you addressed it, but it looks like maybe people were paying attention to the presentation as well, more than the chat. There's some questions about ring lights and the reflection on glasses. Do you have, I think you put some, I know that happens. I think you put some tips in there on ways to kind of mitigate that. Could you share those with us?
Right. So a couple ideas. So I don't have a ring light in front of me now. I have a desk light that's up. So if you can put a light up above you that can show down, it won't necessarily get into your glasses, although it helps if you have a hat or hair so that you're not like, so, there's trade-offs, right? So I've got a little shiny spot, I could put makeup on or whatever. But so you need to think about that. And sometimes having the lights beside you work. And the other thing, a former student of mine taught me this is actually, I was thinking at one point, put the lights further away from me, there'd be less reflection. Actually, the closer they are, if they kind of fill up the whole scene, that can be used. But if you want to really avoid ring light altogether, what you should do is not buy ring lights. You should get studio lights, which are not very expensive either, and put them beside you, and then have them shine. You use what's called a 3-point lighting system. So you have what's called a hair light, a backlight, a side light, and kind of working with the light that way. I find that glasses, even when I do lynda.com or LinkedIn Learning courses, they're really not as concerned about the lighting in your glasses. So if it catches it sometimes, that's okay. For some people, it's really distracting. For others, if you're engaging in your presentation and you're showing things and moving back and forth and things like that, the glare becomes a little less noticeable. And the content becomes a little bit more front stage. And that's kind of really what you want to go for. You can also get anti-glare coating on your glasses. That can help. The best is if you have natural light. If you can sit in front of your window and have natural light come in, it's awesome. But Mother Nature doesn't always cooperate when you want to record. But if you know, hey, at my house, natural light comes in between 10 and 11:30, then that's when I would create my courses, because natural light is the best.
Great. We had a question come in from an attendee in China where many of the platforms are no longer accessible. Do you have any alternatives to sharing videos than YouTube, Google, Dropbox, which are banned?
Yeah. So when I was in China, I think it was WeChat was the platform, and a lot of people were actually creating videos on WeChat and doing online learning through WeChat videos. So that may be a way to distribute the videos without having to go through any of the software that might be banned.
Awesome. I'm curious as to how you sell microlearning. Is it per session, per program, to individuals, to organizations?
Yes, so that's a really good question. So one of the things that I do, probably hear the lawn mowing now. One of the things that I do is I actually have a community, and I have people subscribe to the community, and then through that subscription, they get microlearning. So that does a couple things. One is they're not paying course by course by course. They don't feel kind of nickeled and dimed. And it's getting harder and harder to sell courses just kind of to the general market. What I found to be most effective is if you have a client base, sell the courses to the client base. And I usually sell by course. If I don't do the community, I sell by course. And then when they purchase that course, then ask them at the end of the course, hey, tell your friends about this course if you enjoyed it. If you didn't enjoy it, tell me about it, and we'll fix it. And then that kind of word of mouth works. You can spend a lot of money on Facebook advertising and all that kind of stuff, but if you don't have a platform already in place, it becomes really hard. And I always laugh at all the people saying, oh, I wrote a course in 6 days, and I'll tell you how to make money off of online learning. The secret is they're making money off of telling you how to make money off of online learning. If they were really delivering online learning courses, they'd be making so much money they wouldn't have to do a course on how to make money on online learning. So the two things. One, use a community and kind of a subscription base and use the courses as a value add. The second is to sell to your existing clients that you already have a course and ask them to sell to others. And then once you have kind of a chest of money, then you can start spending it on advertising and kind of going out that way. But if you have a current coaching client or a past coaching client, they've enjoyed what you've done, they like what you've done, they might want more information. You're not as scalable as a single person. There's only 24 hours a day. So if you create that content and make it available out there, it really helps them and accomplish what they want to accomplish, and you what you want to accomplish.
Fantastic. That's fantastic advice. Thank you. I see that we have about 2 minutes left in the session, so let's wrap up with one final question. If you're an introvert, what are your tips so that you can be more energetic and engaging in your video sessions?
Yeah, so I think one of the first things that you do, and Monique, to answer your question, I actually use Learn Worlds, and I have a community in there. We're looking at Slack, but they have their own community. So one of the things that I think as if you're introverted is talk about your favorite subject. Start with your favorite subject, because you're naturally going to be animated. And the other thing you could do is, and if you're intimidated by creating an entire course, just start with a series of questions. Hey, clients always ask me this, and here's how I respond. And clients ask me this, and here's how I respond. And let me tell you a story of how I helped a client in this situation. So by adding those kinds of things that you're comfortable with, you can become more comfortable in front of the camera. And actually, a lot of actors are very introverted. They just turn it on when the camera comes on. And so I say, you don't have to do that. You have to be a little bit of an exaggerated, caffeine version of yourself, but you also have to be true to yourself. You can't put on a persona that's not you. People see through that right away. So what you want to do is start out with really enthusiastic subjects that you really like, and that will guide you to more and more subjects. And then let the clients ask them what they want to know, what would help them, what kind of information would help them, and then create the courses around that. I really found, for me, I have some friends that are selling courses and things like that, and they're like, well, kind of having trouble starting and all that. Again, start with the community. Start with a small group of people that are really super fans. And then once you have them and you've got them enthusiastic, then it just kind of grows. And then at some point it hits this exponential multiplier, and then you're good to go. But it's not quick. Like all these Facebook people drive me crazy. It's not quick. Slow and steady wins the race.
Great. Thank you so much for that. I'll let you share any final words you have. Thank you so much for your presentation and all of your feedback. It's been so valuable.
Great. Well, I appreciate everybody attending, and fantastic questions and conferences and everything like that. Somebody asked about the handout. The handout's right there on the Pathable platform. But what I want to say is, take what you're passionate about and interested in and create a course. And maybe the course doesn't sell 1 million copies, but now you have something to give to your clients. Now you have something to show how much you can present. Now you have something to really attract clients and show them what you can do. I mean, the great thing about coaching is your whole purpose is helping other people. And think about how you can multiply your help, and you can multiply it by creating online courses and online communities. So I wish everybody the best of luck.
Thank you. And thank you for everyone who attended. There will be access to the chat after this, so I'm sure we'll be able to go through and answer any unanswered questions for you, and appreciate you joining us all today. Thanks again,
Thanks,
Carl.
everybody. Have a great day. Enjoy the rest of the conference.